Please welcome to the stage JPAC Board Chair Marty Schenker.
Wow. I'm Marty Schenker, as David said, Chair of the JPAC Board of Directors. Welcome to the 2024 JPAC Capitol Summit. JPAC is a coalition of more than 30 major Jewish organizations throughout the state. Together, we share a vision of a safe, just, and equitable California, reflecting the core issues and values of the state's organized Jewish community. This is by far our biggest summit ever. We have 500 participants here today and tomorrow, representing a more than 65% increase over last year's record number. And we are honored to be hosting 50 members of the state legislature here today. This has been an enormously impactful year for JPAC. Among other things, we asked the governor early in the year to issue a Golden State Plan to combat anti-Semitism, a call he answered with a plan that he unveiled in April. We launched the JPAC Ethnic Studies Coalition to ensure that anti-Semitic and anti-Zionist content is not taught in our classrooms. And we had a very successful legislative year despite the difficult budget climate. Our successes were many and included securing $40 million in nonprofit security grants, funding for Holocaust education, and our successful sponsorship of Senator Wiener's bill, making it easier for faith institutions to build affordable housing to help alleviate the state's affordable housing crisis. But I know that we have, the reason we have 500 people here today is not to celebrate our past successes. Instead, there's a cloud hanging over our community that has caused so many of us to be catalyzed to become more engaged. When my father fled Nazi Austria in March of 1938, 3 days after the Anschluss, he had hopes for the future. He had hopes that Israel would be created as a homeland for the Jewish people. He had hopes that he and his family, who had been scattered throughout the world, would be able to reunite one day in the United States. And he had hopes that this country would, in the immortal words of Emma Lazarus, continue to lift her lamp beside the golden door. For decades, it appeared my father's hopes were being realized. It was a golden age for America's Jewish community and for liberal democracy here and abroad. And following Israel's declaration of independence 76 years ago on this very day, it appeared that Jews had finally achieved their 2,000-year-old dream of a safe and secure Jewish homeland. That is not how we are all feeling today. Today, after the atrocities of October 7th and the shocking surge of anti-Semitism that started immediately thereafter, the Jewish community feels vulnerable in ways that very few of us ever thought possible. Given these developments, the need for JPAC has never been greater. And your recognition of that is why we have 500 plus people here today. I'd like to thank each and every one of our participants for the work you do in your communities and for taking 2 days out of your busy lives to come to Sacramento to work collectively for a safer and more equitable California for the state's Jews and for all vulnerable populations. I know you will find tomorrow's summit and lobbying visits inspiring, and will be paying more than 100 lobbying visits to legislators tomorrow, which will be inspiring, and highly impactful. I also want to thank our friends from the legislature who are here tonight. To the members of the Jewish Caucus, chaired by the incredible team of Senator Scott Wiener and Assemblymember Jesse Gabriel. You are an extraordinary group, and it's a true privilege to be able to partner with you. To the other members of the legislature who are here today, on behalf of the JPAC community, I want to extend our heartfelt thanks for your presence. Having you stand with us and knowing we are not alone means more than I could utter in words. It's now my pleasure to introduce Debi Graboff, JPAC's Vice Chair, and the Chair of the Programs Committee that put in so much work to make this summit a success. Debi, thank you for everything you do for JPAC.
Good evening. First, thank you, Marty. It's been so wonderful working with you the past year and a half at JPAC. I want to thank the Programs Committee who tirelessly worked to plan this summit and make it so successful. We would not be here today without all of your dedication, commitment, recruitment, and for caring to make this a success. The committee members are Alyssa Bernstein, you can clap, Allison Gingold, Richard Hirschhout, Alexi Aloni, Davina Kohan-Gadash, Izzy Salant, Jeff Wiener, Joe Goldman, Mara Landy, and Rachel Wallace. And a special thanks to the JPAC staff, David Bocarsly, Executive Director, Helena Weiss-Duman, Programs Associate, Hadass Alterman, Director of Community Relations, and Cliff Berg, Legislative Advocate. It's been a privilege to work with you all. I'd also like to thank our sponsors who helped underwrite this event. Our sponsorship levels are named after strong women in Jewish liturgy who bravely leveraged their power to create a better world. They are Miriam sponsors at $25,000, the Glazer Foundation, and the Correct Foundation. Shifra and Pua sponsors at $10,000 are JFCS San Francisco, LA Federation, Nicole and Alan Munchneck, Marty Schenker, AJC, and the California Jewish Legislative Caucus. Ruth sponsors of $5,000 are the Holocaust Museum and JCRC Bay Area. Finally, a shout out to our biggest delegations this year, which you could cheer when your names are mentioned: San Francisco Jewish Federation, 20 members, Pius, 20 members, Hadassah, 32 members, AJC, 38 members, ADL, 44 members, JCRC Bay Area, 51 members, JFCS San Francisco, 56 members. And finally, JFED LA, 94 members. And now it's my privilege to introduce JPAC's amazing director, David Bocarsly, to say a few words. Thank you.
Woo! Wow. Hey, everybody. Welcome. Thank you, Debi. Thank you, Marty. The two of you, I'm so grateful for both of you, for your wisdom, your friendship, and the countless hours that you give to JPAC. Debi was being modest, by the way. She also is one of our donors, our sponsors, so thank you, Debi, for your sponsorship. Well, welcome, everybody. Welcome. Wow, it is a powerful image to stand here and look out on such a dynamic ballroom of Jewish activists and allies. This room is filled with CEOs and board members, rabbis and volunteers, professional staff and young professionals, and we have an amazing student cohort with us as well. We have people doing work fighting anti-Semitism and hate, advancing civil rights, and providing a wide range of social and human services to vulnerable Californians. This room represents an incredible cross-section of Jewish life from around the state. And the beauty of JPAC is that we are all here, dedicated to this work, working on these issues together. Now, perhaps the real reason that we're all here is also because of the group of people I want to acknowledge right now. We're here to build relationships with legislators, and between our reception and dinner, as Marty mentioned, we have already had 50 legislators join our program. For context, there are 120 total. So I'd like to make sure we recognize each of them, and I will be very quick. I know we've done a lot of thank yous, but I want to make sure that each of them who is here gets recognized. I'm going to read their names, and I ask you to wait and hold your applause until the end. Assembly members, Dawn Addis, Juan Alanis, Mark Berman, Tasha Berner, Isaac Bryan, Wendy Carrillo, Damon Connolly, Lori Davies, Diane Dixon, Mike Fong, Laura Friedman, Jesse Gabriel, Tim Grayson, Greg Hart, Jackie Irwin, Reggie Jones-Sawyer, Alex Lee, Josh Lowenthal, Kevin McCarty, Tina McKinner, Almarit Suchi, Gail Pellerin, Majority Leader Emeritus Eloise Gomez-Reyes, Luz Rivas, Miguel Santiago, Trita, Marie Waldron, Chris Ward, Buffy Wicks, and Rick Zabur. Hand of applause to the Assembly members. And our senators, we have Senators Ben Allen, Bob Archuleta, Josh Becker, Steve Bradford, Bill Dodd, Maria Elena Durazo, Steve Glazer, Lena Gonzalez, Minority Leader Brian Jones, Monique Limon, Dave Min, Josh Newman, Rosicely Ochoa-Bogue, Susan Rubio, Kelly Ciarto, Henry Stern, and Scott Wiener. A round of applause for our senators. Did I miss anybody? Okay, that's great. Again, it's just amazing to have such amazing friendships in the legislature. And I am excited, on that note, I'm excited to introduce our special evening program. Every year at Capitol Summit, we reserve the first night to get to be with and hear from the California Legislative Jewish Caucus. And it's always a highlight of the summit. If JPAC is the voice of California's Jewish community towards our state government, the Jewish Caucus is our champion every day in the halls of government. We work hand in glove with them on so many critical issues, and this partnership is the reason that so much funding has been dedicated for our community's priorities in recent years. And this year, when it's needed most, the Jewish Caucus is again championing just about all of our priority items. So before I turn it over to the caucus, I want to first recognize two really important people, Garrett Layton and Max Migdale. Where are you? Garrett's over here, and Max is right here, who staff the Jewish Caucus. They do so much behind the scenes and serve as a constant line of connection between our community and the caucus. Before I came to JPAC, I was actually in Max's job, working for the caucus in both Senator Allen's and Senator Wiener's offices, and getting to learn every day from each of these legislators. And I can tell you firsthand, they are all the menschiest people you will meet. So with that, I am honored to introduce the Mensches in Chief, the incredible co-chairs of the Jewish Caucus, Assemblymember Jesse Gabriel and Senator Scott Wiener.
Good evening, everyone. Let's hear it for JPAC. So I'm Scott Wiener of the honor. Yes, I co-chair the Jewish Caucus, but first and foremost, the great honor of representing the best city on the planet, the city of San Francisco, and northern San Mateo County. And it's such an honor to be here with my co-chair, Assemblymember Jesse Gabriel, and so many of the 19 members of our Legislative Jewish Caucus. Our caucus was only founded about a decade ago. California went about 165 years in our legislature without a Legislative Jewish Caucus. And when it first started, there were, I believe, 2 members. Now we have 14 Jewish members and 5 Jewish adjacent members. And this is just an incredible group of people who work so hard, not just for their constituents, but for our community every day of the week, giving of themselves, spending political capital for our community. And so from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank all of the members of the Legislative Jewish Caucus. So before October 7th, we were working really hard every year to support the community, whether it's in the budget to fund nonprofit security grants so that our community institutions could be safe, to provide funding to rebuild some of our Jewish camps and other camps that burned down, whether it was making sure that ethnic studies is a way of uplifting communities in California and not tearing down the Jewish community. And then October 7th happened, and it changed everything for so many in the community, and it changed everything for us. And it really just reiterated the importance of this work and the importance for any of us who are Jews in positions of leadership, the obligation that we have to stand up for this community, even when it's hard, and especially when it's hard. And I want to thank all of the leaders here today who have stood up when it's hard. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I'm just so grateful to JPAC. We have always worked hand in glove with this amazing organization, with David, my former staffer, who we were happy you're just doing such amazing work. But just an organization that brings the entire community together up and down the state, because when we are together, we are powerful, and JPAC empowers that to happen. So thank you so much, JPAC. And we've been working with JPAC every day, whether it's in what's happening in our K through 12 schools, what's happening on our college campuses, what's happening in so many parts of the state, and JPAC is an indispensable partner for us. And this conference is so inspiring. We know that particularly in the last 7 months, a lot of times when you are Jewish and advocating in this atmosphere, people feel really alone. We are a tiny, tiny population. As Jesse likes to say, there are more Latinos in the state of California than there are Jews on the entire planet. And it can be really damn lonely, and you know that. And by pulling everyone together, we remind all of us that we are not alone, that we are together, and that together we are powerful. And so thank you for pulling everyone together for this amazing conference. Before I turn it over to Jesse, I want to just thank in particular 2 groups of people. First, And I say this as a former local elected official. I want to thank all of the Jewish local elected officials in California. We all know, for those of us who have been local elected officials, you are really, really close to your constituents, which is usually a really, really good thing. But I know that what's been happening in the last 7 months in city halls and town councils up and down the state for our local Jewish elected officials has been unbelievably hard. And so thank you, thank you, thank you for your service to the people of California. And the second group I want to thank are our Jewish parents who, when we know that in our 1,000 school districts in California, there have been some problematic things happening before October 7th and especially since. And I am in awe of all of the Jewish parents who have been crystal clear that we are not going to allow our schools to demonize Jews, not in any classroom in the state of California. So I now get to turn it over to my co-chair, Jesse Gabriel, and I'm just going to say a couple of things since I know he's going to get a little love later on tonight, and so now I just have a minute to be able to say some things. When Jesse and we became co-chairs of this caucus about 1.5 years ago, January of 2023, and I think we knew we had a lot of work ahead of us, but boy, did we not fully appreciate the work that we had ahead of us. And we are, everyone in our caucus is working so hard, but we're, I think, on the phone every single day. Sometimes we drive each other a little bit crazy, but it's all with love. We are the gay, straight, odd couple / married couple. I'm the gay one. And for anyone who has worked with Jesse Gabriel, you know that this guy is an absolute force of nature, and he gives everything he has for this community. So Jesse, we love you, and the amazing Jesse Gabriel.
Good evening, everybody. Nice to see you here in Sacramento. As the senator mentioned, my name is Jesse Gabriel. I'm really proud to represent the San Fernando Valley. Anybody from the Valley here? And the city of Los Angeles, and really honored to co-chair the Jewish Caucus. And I think Scott said everything so beautifully. So let me just say a few things about him, because it's really important. I look up to Scott in a lot of ways. And I'm very grateful because he has single-handedly destroyed stereotypes about the height of Jewish men. So he's done a lot of good work for our community. But Scott is, for those of you that know him or those of you that follow him on social media, has just been an extraordinary warrior for our community. I don't know that I could use another word. And in some of the most, please give him a round of applause. And in some of the most difficult situations has leaned in, has stood up, has been proud, has been unapologetic about who he is and what he believes, and has represented our community with such dignity and such grace and such charisma that I, as a parent of Jewish children in the state of California, and as a legislator, Scott, I am just so profoundly grateful to you. So thank you for everything you have done for us. And I'll tell you one more thing about Scott, and then I'll move on. Scott's birthday was Saturday. I didn't actually realize it because what I knew at the time is that Scott spent most of the day on Saturday working on an initiative to protect Jewish students on campuses. So this is what he did on his birthday on a weekend. He spent most of the day working for our community. So Scott, you're amazing. Let me just also say thank you, of course, to the incredible David Bocarsly and the JPAC team, to Marty and to Debi and all of the folks who have put all of this together. JPAC is an incredible, incredible partner in the work that we do, and it's really our relationship with JPAC that has allowed us to do the things that we have done for our community. I now want to ask all of the members of the Jewish Caucus who are here to come up to the stage to share a few remarks. But as they're coming up, I just want to say, I cannot tell you how lucky and how privileged I feel to work and to serve with this amazing group of people. As Scott mentioned, it can often be lonely, and I think all of us have felt, as I was reflecting this last Passover, that a lot of things that we thought were behind us are actually ahead of us. A lot of the challenges that we thought are behind us are ahead of us, and we have taken such incredible strength from this group of legislators. It is amazing to be on a text thread with 19 people that have 25 different opinions, but somehow we still find a way to get on the same page, and so we want to just invite them all to come up one by one. But before we do that, I want to emphasize one more thing. We could not do the work that we do, and our community would not be able to enjoy the benefits and protections that we have enjoyed in this state without the incredible work of our allies in the other caucuses. And we have developed such beautiful partners with the other diversity caucuses. So can we give a round of applause to all of our non-Jewish colleagues? Shall you do it one by one? Okay. And so with that, I want to just give we're going to do a lightning round of members of the caucus. And the first is a relatively new member who has just made an incredible impact already, a former school teacher who has been incredible on so much of our work, Assemblywoman Dawn Addis.
How's everyone? You don't sound that excited. How about this? A round of applause for our servers this evening. There you go. Much better, much better. I'm Dawn Addis. I represent the Central Coast, where there's not a ton of Jewish people, and I know my people couldn't make it today. So are they here? There we go. Okay. Central Coast. There we go. San Luis Obispo, Monterey, and Santa Cruz. But one thing I just want to say to you as a mom is that my kiddos grew up. They were probably the only Jewish kiddos in their classroom. I know they were. They were the only Jewish people that some of their friends had ever met in their lifetime. And so to walk into a room like this and to come to the event last year, to be in a caucus like the one standing up on this stage is incredibly healing. And incredibly healing in these times when the world is really hard, particularly hard for Jewish people. And to have community, I just want to say thank you so much for having us. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for all the fighting that you're doing.
So continuing in alphabetical order, one of my favorite people in the legislature, an amazing champion for our community, also happens to be my roommate here in Sacramento, Assemblymember Mark Berman.
Thank you, Jesse. I found myself sitting there, and when the rabbi did this sort of meditation that we did at the beginning of the evening, just with an immense amount of gratitude. I know we have a lot going on right now. I know we have a lot of challenges in our lives, in our communities, but the gratitude that I have for everybody here today couldn't be stronger. I especially have gratitude. I learned that 6 of the other 7 people at my table, this is their first JPAC conference. And so I just really want to say thank you to everybody. If you've been here before, if this is your first time, I wear socks that sometimes channel how I'm feeling. And so these are the socks that I have right now. And on the front, it's kind of nice colors. It's all fun. On the back, what does that say?
Busy making a...
So tomorrow, I'm going to say it. Tomorrow, when you're all in the Capitol and you're lobbying your legislators, you're going to be busy making a fucking difference, which is what the back of my socks said. So thank you for doing that. Thanks.
All right. Another one of our amazing newish members of the legislature, but not new to public service, not new to making a difference, someone who has done incredible work on behalf of our caucus, Assemblymember Josh Lowenthal.
I'll be very brief. You don't need to hear another speech by yet another politician, but I will say, people ask me all the time, how are you feeling? And I think they're expecting this despondent, dystopian answer. And the truth of the matter is the way I feel generally is the way I feel tonight. I feel unity. I feel connection. I feel the love of my fellow caucus members, and I feel the love in this room. We've been through far worse, and we will prevail. Thank you, everybody.
as you saw, we have some new members. We also have some members who unfortunately are coming upon the end of their service in the legislature. But thankfully for us, this next person I'm going to introduce is about to go to Washington, D.C. She is going to be an extraordinary, extraordinary member of Congress, the incomparable Laura Friedman.
Hi, everybody. I have to say that coming into this room for me was like coming home. I'm a Jew who lives in Los Angeles, who grew up in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I was born in the old country in Brooklyn. And I want to thank each and every one of you for being here to put a human face on the issues that our community is facing, but showing the legislators who don't have the experience with our community that many of us have, who we are and what we stand for and what we are facing right now in these days. And you being here is going to make all the difference. I also want to thank JFED for coming on as a sponsor to the legislation that I and Josh Lowenthal are carrying this year to, for the first time, require that DEI programs taught in our schools and our college campuses will include anti-Semitism and the Jewish experience. Because I don't know about you, but I was shocked to find out that we were not included in the training about discrimination, even though we are one of the top groups right now facing discrimination and hate crimes. So hopefully this will start to make a difference of teaching the people who are educating our children what it means to face anti-Semitism and what the Jewish experience is about in the United States. So thanks everybody for being here.
Now I want to call up another amazing new member of our caucus, someone who has another long distinguished career in public service, but newish to the legislature, but already making a huge difference on a lot of issues and for our community, and probably frankly, one of the most well-liked members of the legislature. She's just the nicest person, and that's Assemblywoman Gail Pellerin.
Hello! So May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And looking out at all of you, this is so incredibly good for my mental health. So thank you for being here. I'm one of those Jewish adjacent members, and this caucus has been, I'm so grateful for each and every one of you to lift up our community. And earlier when the rabbi was talking about our why are we here? What brought us here? We were closing our eyes. I saw my husband, who died in November of 2018. He was Jewish. We raised our kids in Jewish faith, and I saw my children as well. And they are what drive me in this space, to be their voice, to stand up for the injustices that we are seeing, the hatred we're seeing, the anti-Semitism we are seeing, and it has got to stop. And we are gonna make sure it stops, because every one of you are incredible warriors, and I just wanna thank you so much for your passion, your resilience, and your strength. Thank you.
Another amazing Jewish member of the caucus, but not in the George Santos way, in the best possible way. Someone who has been an incredible, incredible ally to our community, who's carrying a really important bill that you're going to learn about from San Diego, the amazing Assemblymember Chris Ward.
Thank you, Jesse. Well, good evening. Just really heartwarming to be with you all. I want to congratulate JPAC. We've seen the growth of this organization, the growth of your activism, and tonight to be able to shatter a record and just have this amazing attendance, give yourselves a big round of applause, because it's an incredible turnout in these very difficult times. Big shout out. Where's my San Diego contingent here? Thank you for making the long trek up to Sacramento. I'm grateful to be your representative and help work in our community to be able to support our organizations. You know, this caucus has grown so much over the last decade. I had the pleasure of also being a staffer to help lay the seeds of the foundation for the work that we're doing here, and to see the growth and the impact that we're having is just amazing. But we're reminded in the times of this year that we can't take any of our progress for granted. And so the risks that we are facing, the fear and the tension that is out there, I think has committed all of us to the resolve to step up and to be able to do more. And so I'm thankful and I'm honored and I'm grateful to be a representative for San Diego, fighting alongside our Jewish organizations to introduce the Stop Hate Littering Act, because the I want to say the jerks, the supremacists, the hate actors that are out in our community that are terrorizing, that are infiltrating into our communities to tell people, I know where you live and you don't belong here. The anti-Semitic, anti-LGBT rhetoric that's spreading, it has to stop. And so the resolve that we have as legislators, the commitment that you have as advocates is going to help us to push some of these great ideas across the finish line and onto the governor's desk, and we're going to make this a safer place for all to live, enjoy, and play in California. Thank you for being here today.
And last, but certainly not least, in another amazing affiliate member of our caucus, someone who has stood up for our community so publicly, who brings a lifetime of work in civil rights and social justice, and can speak so powerfully about why Jews need to be included, about why our community is deserving of the same protections as everybody else. A really wonderful friend to our community from Los Angeles, Assemblymember Rick Chavez-Zerbur.
So first of all, I am so proud and grateful to be an affiliate member of this caucus. Almost every day I turn to these really amazing people who are bearing the weight of what's happening to the Jewish community across the country, and turn to them to get advice and strength and their wisdom. When I was elected in November 2022, I knew that I was the first non-Jewish person to represent what was basically my district in about 30 years. And my district is one of the most Jewish districts in the state, and also one of the most LGBTQ districts in the state. And when I came into office, I realized what a responsibility I had to represent the Jewish community. And I told myself, I will represent this community in the same way I would hope that a non-LGBTQ person would represent this district in the legislature. I didn't really appreciate and understand what that would mean until October 7th. And I'll tell you that I want to sort of give special props to my district staff, who are amazing. My district director used to work for the Jewish Federation and has basically been out at UCLA almost every day for the past 2 weeks, really bearing witness to what's happening to Jewish students and faculty on that campus. And we've sort of seen really the complete, intimidation, the harassment, the physical violence that's been extended to Jewish students on campus. And while I know we all of us understand the importance of supporting peaceful protest, we all know that peaceful protest does not extend to hate and intimidation and physical violence against the Jewish community. And so I just want to thank the members of the Jewish Caucus. You have no idea what these individuals do for you every day. I've had a window as a non-Jew, and being a part of this caucus, there's a thread that we're all on, that literally every day there are multiple things that are shared, and you have really an army of people that are standing up for you. And I just have such respect for this group of people and the leadership of the caucus, and just want to thank you and tell you how much I appreciate you, including me.
Thank you so much. I'm going to turn it over to Scott in just a moment to introduce the senators, but I want to acknowledge a member of our caucus who's not here. She was here earlier, and that's the incredible Assemblywoman Jackie Irwin from Thousand Oaks. You can give her a round of applause. What was so special to me about her joining the caucus, so for a while we were 18 members, it was very auspicious. Jackie actually came to us post-October 7th. Her daughter had just married, actually the son of my Hebrew school teacher. They were planning to raise their children Jewish, and she said, "Can I become an affiliate member of the Jewish Caucus?" And it was the most moving thing to me in one of the most difficult moments in Jewish history, and probably the most difficult moment in our lifetime, that somebody would want to opt in and want to be part of this and want to share the burden that our community is carrying. So I just want to can we give a huge round of applause to Jackie Irwin? And with that, we will turn it over to Senator Wiener to introduce the folks from the smaller house of the legislature.
The cooler house. We have a few senators here, and so I want to ask them each to come up. First, I want to start with the vice chair of our caucus, the senator directly to the south of my district, representing San Mateo County and part of Santa Clara County, who has really, really deeply stepped up to help Jesse and I lead this caucus, Senator Josh Becker.
Thank you. Before I give a few remarks, I know that we read their names, but I'd ask my colleagues who are not part of the Jewish Caucus, who have, I know, many things they could be doing tonight, who are here to please stand. Luz Rivas, Babar Shaletta, Isaac Blair, please stand. Anyone who's still here. Steve Bradford was here. And our speaker we're going to hear from later, Rob Rivas. Thank you. I won't be the last one. I'm not the first, the last to say how wonderful it is to have all of you here today. It's no secret. It's just been a very difficult 7 months, and we always work on important issues up here. But I sometimes say the most heated debate we had last year was about the quality of Hamantaschen that Jesse ordered for the other members to give out. I say that in jest, but seriously, it wasn't 24/7 like it is this year. My son goes to Menlo Atherton, where maybe some of you have seen. We had the most crazy of the horrible ethnic studies curriculums that was factually wrong, and the parents did an incredible job, some of them here today, documenting 50,000 ways it violated the guardrails. And I got a front seat to see what's happening in our schools. And with this group, I get a chance to try to fix it. So thank you all for being here today.
So we have an unwritten rule that at any given time, at least one member of our caucus has to play the role of our rabbi. And so this year, that is a former chair of this caucus, Senator Ben Allen.
Where's my kippah? Where's my kippah? It's so great to see everyone here. I have to say, growing up as a young Jewish person on the west side of Los Angeles, I never experienced very much anti-Semitism. And I've just been flabbergasted and gobsmacked by what has happened over the past few months in my own community, in our own state. And to have this group of people as my therapists and fellow rabbis and congregants has been really, really wonderful and very therapeutic and very important to me. I just want to say how proud I am of the growth of this caucus, how proud I am of the growth of this event. Every single year we add about 10 more tables, and so much of that has to do with the wonderful, wonderful leadership of JPAC, including my incredible friend and former staffer, David Bocarsly, who deserves a round of applause. I just want to say, please keep getting great Jewish people elected to office and great allies of our community elected to office. It's our job, because our community is vulnerable, and we need to have people coming up here to Sacramento who understand and care about our community. So that's your job. Let's do that together. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of the solution for our wonderful community. Appreciate it.
Our next member and senator represents part of the East Bay of San Francisco, and we have some really hard bills that our caucus is prioritizing this year. Legislation to protect our community, legislation that is going to be hard because it often is hard when you're trying to actually make change. And our next speaker is carrying one of those bills, and so thank you from the bottom of my heart to Senator Steve Glazer.
I've been blessed to be a part of your panel tomorrow to talk about that bill, to try to make our students on campuses safe from hate, intimidation, harassment, and I look forward to that conversation tomorrow. The thing I was thinking about was, here in Sacramento, there are more than 2,000 registered lobbyists. 2,000. And JPAC has a very special one, just one. And so I want to shout out to Cliff Berg, who's here. But I know that what makes his job a lot easier is all of you being here to support the work that he is doing day in and day out, and JPAC is doing day in and day out. And so I appreciate you all being here. You make a difference. We get lots of letters and cards and texts and all the rest. But the person-to-person connection that you're making while you're here really makes a difference. We know how hard it was to get here, and you have busy lives and wonderful, hopefully wonderful lives, but to take the time to come up and help us, help your lobbyist, Cliff, help JPAC do this work is so important now more than ever. So thank you very much.
A number of members of our Jewish caucus hold really significant leadership roles in the legislature, and our next senator chairs what is now even more important, the Senate Education Committee, Senator Josh Newman.
Jesse just said, be funny, be funny. The performance anxiety is agonizing here. I am so proud. It's wonderful to see you. I'm so proud to represent Orange County. Where are my Orange County Jews here this evening? Good to see you. Erev Tov. Laura invoked her Brooklyn roots. Let me invoke my Poughkeepsie roots. I grew up in Poughkeepsie, New York. Woo, somebody said woo. Not a lot of Jews in Poughkeepsie. I remember at my bar mitzvah, all the other kids were my Christian classmates. They were so impressed that I got savings bonds and a bunch of fountain pens. But I remember very vividly my first trip to Israel, and I'm not very smart. I had this very profound realization. It's like, wow, everybody's Jewish here. This place is awesome. And I have that same feeling this evening. Everybody here is Jewish and committed to making things better for not only Jews, but for everybody in California. And I thank you all for being here. You give us energy, and I will say of this caucus, they give me so much by way of hope, inspiration, and comfort. We are so lucky to have this core group of people who validate the stereotype of Jews as smart, as courageous, and as thoughtful. And to Jesse and to Scott, thank you. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you to David and to Jordan and to Max and to Krista, who do so much for us. But to have you here this evening, especially at a time where things are so fraught, there are two wars going on right now. One in Gaza. The other is on the campuses of California's universities and schools. And there is not a single member up here who on any given day is not reaching out to the leadership of the campus in their area and calling on them for leadership that is so sorely needed. And so we thank them for their leadership, for their courage, and I thank you for your support. Thank you very much.
And last but certainly not least, I want to bring up one of our great senators who is the only affiliate member of our Jewish caucus in the Senate, but someone who is just such a fierce fighter for our community, Susan Rubio, senator from LA.
I'm not as tall as he is, so I have to bring it down a little. Good evening, everyone. What a privilege to be here one more year with you. This is my 5th year in the Jewish caucus, and I think all my colleagues have said it all. But this back here has become family in so many ways, and even we have the privilege of going to Israel as a family a few years back, and it just gives me a great pride to stand with these incredible leaders, and we have really created a safe space since October 7th. We get about 20 text messages every day because we're constantly keeping each other apprised of what's happening in our communities, how we can help, what we can do. And most of the bills that you heard earlier, with some of our colleagues, none of us hesitate to jump on board and co-author and help push forward. And so hopefully tomorrow, I know you're doing advocacy work, and some of you have already been in my office. Continue to do the work. It is really important that they see us, that they see people behind the stories. It's so important that we stand together in these times of just such sadness for me. I'm an educator as well, and so most of the fights that we're seeing here in our state are on our campuses, and our students are vulnerable, they get attacked, and so we're here collectively to say that together we're mighty, and we're going to do whatever we can to protect our students. So thank you so very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you. And before we hand the stage back to David, I think, first of all, I just want to acknowledge our two Jewish Caucus staffers, Max Migdal and Garrett Layton, who do this amazing work. Thank you, guys. And also, just on behalf of our caucus, we want to just, as do I think all of us, oh, sorry, I turned it off. I thought someone was signaling something to me. I think on behalf of our caucus, we want to just really send love and energy, first of all, to everyone who is suffering in this terrible war, and also just to always remember the hostages who continue to be suffering every day. So thank you, everyone, and thank you on behalf of our caucus.